Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Thank you to the Autorité des marchés, financière for inviting me to speak with you this evening. Tomorrow is December the 1st. It's a good time to look back on the past year and look forward to the year ahead. If this pandemic has taught us anything, it's that we need to be prepared. And looking ahead, we have some big challenges to tackle. Of course, the immediate priority is the recovery from the COVID crisis. We can help sustain the economic recovery in Europe by building up the Capital Markets Union. And we have the challenge of tackling climate change, which needs urgent action, including in finance. Looking at the European economy, there are signs of recovery from the coronavirus crisis. The Commission's economic forecast from earlier this month projects 5% growth for the EU this year and 4.3% next year. But a lot remains uncertain. COVID cases are increasing again in many countries. Global supply chain bottlenecks are presenting hurdles to economic recovery, and they've led to shortages of certain products for consumers and manufacturers and higher prices. So we also need to keep a watchful eye on inflation. Despite these challenges, global financial markets have remained stable. Governments and public authorities brought in extraordinary measures to support the economy, keep companies in business and help households through tough times. And reforms to the financial sector made after the global financial crisis have helped it stay resilient. To boost the economy after the crisis and to build a more sustainable and digital Europe, we need to make sure businesses across the EU have access to funding from capital markets. And that's why the Commission is helping to build the Capital Markets Union. We want finance to flow more freely across the EU, allowing projects and businesses access to more sources of funding, no matter where in Europe they're located. A deeper capital markets union would give all companies access to alternative sources of finance, including startups and innovative small businesses that might not get bank funding. And we're making good progress. Our new CMU indicators show early signs that EU capital markets are changing for the better. A clear improvement is the fact that corporate bonds have become an established funding tool for larger firms. And that has freed up lending capacity for SMEs at banks, which remain the main source of SME funding. That said, SMEs have also benefited from greater access to alternative sources of funding, though that starts from a low level. In particular, SME growth markets, which are venues specialised in trading SME stock, have started to expand in the European Union, and the provision of venture capital has also increased. But we need to step up the work here. We recently announced a series of proposals implementing measures from our 2020 CMU Action Plan, taking a big step forward on CMU. First, to boost transparency, we put forward a review of the Markets in Financial Instruments Regulation, or MIFIR. Under this review, we'll introduce a European consolidated tape. At the moment, trading data is scattered across multiple exchanges and trading venues. Only the largest investors can afford to pay for a comprehensive view of the market. This consolidated tape will give all investors, large and small, access to near real-time trading data for stocks, bonds and derivatives across all trading venues in the EU. Second, we also proposed a new European single access point. The idea is to create a digital, user-friendly, one-stop shop for company information, both financial and sustainability. We're literally putting information at investors' fingertips, and that will allow investors to more easily compare investment opportunities across the EU, and companies will benefit from a wider investor base. Third, we are reviewing the European Long-Term Investment Funds Regulation. LTIFs are an important investment vehicle that can channel financing to long-term investment projects in areas like clean energy and social infrastructure. But they've not reached their potential, so we're changing the rules to make them more attractive. And finally, we're making some limited changes to the Alternative Investment Fund Managers Directive to make the market more integrated and efficient. Heading into 2022, we have some ambitious proposals in the pipeline. In our CMU Action Plan, one of our core priorities was addressing the negative impact of the pandemic on SME financing. So we are setting up an IPO fund for SMEs to expand the investor base for equity financing to smaller firms. And we're also exploring how banks can direct SMEs to alternative providers of funding, with a study on the feasibility of a referral scheme due early next year. We're also looking at public listing, which at the moment can be very difficult and costly for SMEs. The Commission wants to reduce compliance costs for SMEs and remove the obstacles in their way. We're working on a listing act to simplify rules for going public and staying on public markets, and we aim to put that forward next year. While we have work to do on developing European capital markets, the European Union is a global leader when it comes to green capital markets. Developing a green capital markets union could help increase financing for sustainability, and an integrated green finance market could help break down barriers between national capital markets. So the Capital Markets Union and the EU Sustainable Finance Agenda support each other. The EU Sustainable Finance Agenda is vital because we need more money to flow towards sustainability. We estimate that Europe will need around €350 billion extra investment in energy per year over the next decade, just to meet our 2030 emissions target. And we need to integrate sustainability risks into our financial system. The European Central Bank has warned that global GDP could fall by 20% by the end of this century if we fail to act on climate change. So financial institutions need to manage these risks and mitigate their harmful impact. In July, the Commission adopted a new sustainable finance strategy to step up our work on sustainable finance. We need to make sure that businesses, especially SMEs, can access finance to reduce their negative impact on climate and environment. The cornerstone of our sustainable finance strategy is the EU taxonomy. This taxonomy is a classification system for sustainable economic activities. It provides a clear definition of what is sustainable. It's also the basis of other sustainable finance tools, like the EU Green Bond Standard. This standard will be available for all green bond issuers as a clear signal of their environmental commitment. Another important element is disclosure rules for companies and investors to ensure transparency. The Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive will strengthen the sustainability reporting rules for companies. It will allow coherent sustainability information to flow throughout the financial value chain. The EU has taken important steps to address the risk of greenwashing in the financial market with these tools for disclosures and labels. But these sustainable finance policies will only be effective if they are well enforced across the EU. Supervisors, including the AMF, have a key role in monitoring compliance with sustainable finance rules. So I count on your continued commitment. Supervisors can use their powers to ensure that investors and consumers are protected against unsubstantiated or exaggerated sustainability claims. We need to monitor greenwashing risks, especially as we implement our regulations and take further action if needed. Effective and consistent supervision and enforcement across the EU is essential. So to conclude, although the past year has not been easy, we've seen progress. Financial markets remained resilient. European countries started receiving money from the EU's recovery programme, Next Generation EU. The economic outlook remains positive overall, but we need to keep an eye on the challenges. Some, including supply chain bottlenecks, may be short-term, but others, like climate change, are with us for the long term. The Commission is committed to making European capital markets a more accessible financing option for businesses. And that will help us sustain economic growth over the long term. Working with national authorities and industry, we want to make the financial system truly sustainable and help it drive the economy towards a greener future. Thank you for your attention.